how it goes.
Yeah, for sure. This deck is, I suppose, one of the more interesting one-card combo decks, if you could say that. Oh, and here we go. We're going to actually do it straight away with First Movement Solo, which is a different type of starter compared to Ostinato, because Ostinato does not have any conditions or restrictions on you, compared to First Movement Solo, which basically says you can only summon Melodious monsters that turn. Which again, as you mentioned, it might seem like the field isn't actually that intimidating, but you do end on a decent amount of protection, and also one or two disruption. What do you usually end on if it's just Melodious cards, do you think?
I feel like your prime board is the Etoile plus the one that banishes 3 from grave that I forget the name of now.
Is that one Barsha?
Yeah, it's the fusion monster.
Yeah. Schuberta?
Oh yeah, Schuberta, that's the one. And then in addition...
I said Barsha, that's a Unity monster.
And then I can't remember the name of the older one now that prevents targeting or destruction by battle.
Bloom?
Is it Bloom?
It might be Bloom.
Bloom doesn't sound like a Melodious card, like they're like about songs. Yeah. No, it's a main deck monster.
Ah, I see, okay. Alright. Soprano.
Yeah.
One of the Sopranos. I think there's multiple Sopranos, actually.
Okay, I'll take your word for it. But between it, you have a field, like, your interruptions can't be interacted with. That's the key thing.
Yeah, okay.
Like, making cards untargetable and unable to be destroyed by battle means that you can really just save
cards?
them. Yeah, well, if it's special summoned, then, yeah, all of your Melodious cards cannot be targeted by card effects, and they cannot be destroyed by battle. Oh, sorry, I think just the monsters.
Oh, okay, cool. Was that what it discards here? We had Thrust, I think. Interesting to play Thrust in the main deck. There isn't really too much cool stuff you can set turn 1 with this, it looks like. Maybe like a debag or something sometimes people do, but that's not really great into Snake Eye, but it looks like just Imperm. But I think going second is particularly powerful because you've got talents, you can get Prosperity, and most importantly of all, adding Ostinato going second is probably quite huge.
Yeah, I mean, if you've got like 6 powerful spells, which are like starters for you. So I guess the fact that all of your normal spells are starters, I mean, Thrust makes a lot of sense, I'd say. So you can, yeah, if your first one gets interrupted, you can just add another one and try that again.
All right, well, there it is. That's the full pure Melodious end field here. Remember the difference between Ostinato and First Movement Solo, which I think, ironically enough, I think, with the Fur Hire cards.
Yeah, they're like hand spells.
Hand spells.
That's our new thing.
Yeah. Here's a really interesting card, actually. That absolutely destroys Melodious, doesn't it?
Retaliating Sea? Yeah, I guess that's probably what it's there for, right?
Yeah. I can't think of why that would be good for Melodious. So Retaliating Sea, for those of you who remember, is a card that says... oh, wait, what do we have here? Oh, we had a...
Hugin getting Imperm, but then normal summon Rex, so you kind of think to yourself, I'm very upset I don't have an Imperm anymore.
Getting a little ahead of ourselves discussing the Retaliating Sea there, but yeah, Microcosmos, when your opponent activates a spell that involves an effect to special summon. But it looks like Isaac is playing well here through the hand traps, and I think that's one of the strongest point of Runick for hire. There's a lot of sort of different cogs spinning simultaneously between the 3 different archetypes that all synergize quite well. So if you do get stopped on, your Runick play, which is the Hugin to get Fountain and give you more resources, you can just special offer a Spright from your hand because it's a level 2, or just normal summon the Rex in this case. So there's a lot of just in-engine ways to keep pushing with this deck, and I think that's why Isaac, I guess, has just been doing so well with it, because lots of hand traps in the format, right?
Yeah, I mean, it does really well through effect negation, as you're saying, because you can use your monsters for so many different things. You can use them to make Donna and then summon back 2 for her eyes from the grave. You can use them to make Gigantic Spright and summon a Spright from your deck. It's... if you're summoning a monster and your opponent negates the effect, and then you get to use that monster for something else afterwards, you're going to keep your resource and your opponent's going to run out very quickly.
Do you see what happened there? He went activate Rafal, which is basically like a pot of prosperity in some ways. It excavates cards from the top of your deck, equal to the number of other Fur Hires you control. So he's got 2 here, so he excavated 2, and he actually got a Runick card. So after that initial Hugin was impermed, you can dig further with the Fur Hire, get a Runick card, summon the Hugin, get the Fountain, and then you're back online.
Yeah, he's just got another Fountain, so if he can activate
3.
Another Runick card in his hand...
This is Folgo, I believe, right?
Yeah, this is Folgo, probably.
I wonder why we have an intervention here.
Maybe just checking you can use Hugin twice in a turn.
Okay, well, here's Folgo. You know, Folgo is specifically does require 3 separate monsters, I believe. So
is it different attributes?
I think it's different attributes or different monsters or something like that. It's probably typing or attribute related, just because that makes sense with the whole for hire theme of the deck. But yeah, this again looks really good because after you play through that initial hand trap, you just keep pushing, and then you go into the gigantic Spright. This gets blue for Jet for a card, and it's just so many different parts of the puzzle here that it just work really well with one another.
Yeah, getting a Spright gigantic after all this is just crazy.
So much value. Adding the starter with the Jet instead of the Smasher. So potentially wants to set up Carrot from the deck here, you know, to negate a spell and trap the opponent controls. Is really powerful against Melodious, you know, stopping an Ostinato or something, but could be more in terms of the extending plays, so we'll see. Just the generic link to Masquerena.
Can make IP as well in this deck.
Ooh, hard drew the Carrot actually.
And Carrot. And Starter. Is the last card just a fountain?
I think so, yeah.
Or are there multiple cards?
I think it's 1 card in hand.
Oh, because you just so desperately want to have a Runick to go with the fountain, but...
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, but it's probably okay, though, because you will get to draw on your opponent's turn with the Folgo.
Do you need to destroy something with a for hire card? Is that right?
So I believe the interaction is you banish from Rex in the graveyard, it specials, and then it destroys, and then when something's destroyed, Folgo triggers and draws up to the number of, materials or something. We'll see exactly how it
turns out. Oh, no, yeah, I think you just need to destroy.
Ooh, Ash Blossom on Folgo.
And we're chaining Rex.
Was it Ash Blossom on Folgo, actually?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Yeah, okay. And then Rafal here gets to excavate.
Then you get
to look at a couple of cards. Excavate, though. Because it's only for higher monsters. It's a Runick! There you go. That's what he needed, after all. I think it was one of the best ones as well. It was Freezing Curses, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay, talents.
Put that back. But you've got the Carrot if you want to negate it as well.
You have to, right? Yeah.
Yeah, you want to keep that Freezing Curses, because that Freezing Curses can turn into 3 more cards.
Oh, another Thrust, though. Okay. This could be deadly. I mean, this searches any spell and trap as well, which could be evenly.
Ostinato.
It's actually Ostinato. Do we have a way to stop Ostinato here? That's the question. We have Freezing Curse to negate a card. So
I mean, you're happy if you get those 3 draws. I don't know about you. When you've got 1 card in hand that's going to turn into 3, your hand kind of starts twitching, and you're like, "Let me resolve it. Let me resolve it."
Yeah, I mean, anything that comes down here is going to be worth Freezing Cursing. Yep, there it is. Immediately Freezing Curses on the... is that the Shiberta? No.
No, that's the Baka. It's a really weird interaction with this because its effect says your activated effects of Melodious monsters can't be negated. But then the Freezing Curses negates that effect first, and then when it tries to, the activated effect tries to resolve, the effect that says it can't be negated is also being negated, so it negates that too.
Oh.
It's weird.
Okay, but it does essentially completely fully negate the card, I assume, right?
Yeah, so it negates the effect that then protects its other effect.
Yeah, so there it is, scooping up game number 2. Okay, so Melodious is most likely going to be going first here, piloted by Thomas, and Isaac on top here. Going to go second and staring down a first movement solo. No retaliating C, it looks like.
No retaliating C in sight. There are 3 Dark Rulers, though, which again is another card which is super, super powerful against Melodious. It really likes having that end field of its monsters sticking.
Yeah, just fully reliant on its engine of putting down all of those really strong boss monsters, per se. But you could be backed up with a bunch of hand traps, potentially, I think is also... still likely on Thomas's side here, or any of these side decked cards. Do you think D-Barrier is worth bringing into this matchup? I wouldn't really
well, you
say
can't
so,
really call fusion because you turn off your own fusions.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
So-
it's more of a link deck. I mean, there is a gigantic... Oh, wow, there is the Retaliating Sea here.
Oh, he held it. I like it. Held
okay, it was for the Concerto, I think, right?
Yeah, because the deck only runs one concerto, so I guess once you've lost that, I quite like that, actually.
That was really smart by Isaac. I mean, it feels like he just knew that this is how you play against Melodious, so he could be quite practiced in this matchup, I suppose.
I was going to say, it's got to be something you practice, right? Because I think the first time you try a card like that out, you say, okay, you just play it on the first time you can.
Mm-hmm.
But if you go a bit more and you say, okay, like, I know if they play first movement solo, they're going to follow it up with a concerto, and it's much better to get it on the fusion spell, because that way you're going to banish a few cards. You're going to get rid of the concerto, which is really good in the graveyard. It gets you an extra draw, and then it recycles itself.
So Thomas has most likely never been in a situation staring down a Retaliating Sea, but he's probably been in similar situations, you know, typically with something like Shifter, right? I mean, that's most likely going to be something he's like played under Racine before. Oh, that's really bad.
But can you chain destruction?
Oh, is that destruction?
This is the benefit of having 4 MST in your deck, you know? Like,
yeah, I mean, oh, God, you have to kind of... In hindsight, that is strange to bring in something like that versus this deck, right? Rivalry. I mean, it is super powerful, but when you have 6 copies of MST, it's, well...
Yeah, you can't always afford
5,
to play tip for destruction. Like, I think it's reasonable.
It
makes a lot of sense
here,
to
but
me.
this is looking like full combo here. Tributing the Retaliating Sea is so powerful because now you can search Maxi.
Exactly, and you get to turn off your own Retaliating Sea, importantly. Yeah. He is searching something with it, actually.
Oh, maybe he has a Contacting Sea?
But you wouldn't, like... is there a... What does it search? An insect? I wouldn't put it past the for hire cards to have an insect with...
oh, it is. It is Contacting Sea. Yeah. Wow, we actually put in a target for this. That's really good.
What does it do, Contacting Sea?
So I think it like prevents. So like your opponent summons. It's sort of like Flying Sea, but you can't use it for any material. I think it's just better Flying Sea. Let's bring it up.
Yeah, but does it stop your opponent like Flying Sea stops your opponent XYZ summoning, right? Which was kind of the point.
Yeah, and contacting I think just prevents any kind of like material use. Let's have a look here. I think you can only... Let's just double check. I'll bring it up.
Or does it lock you into link summoning or something?
Let's have a look. Special this card's controller cannot fusion, synchro, XC, or link unless they use this as a material.
I see.
So you can't make the Melodious Link monster.
Or fusion.
Or fusion, yeah. And you can't use Contacting Sea as a fusion material for any of the Melodious monsters because they can't use Contacting Sea. So I suppose the only thing you can do is link with it?
Yeah, that's super annoying.
So you have to make a link to... do we have any generic links? I mean, there's SP.
But you don't want to just... I mean, if you can make your opponent just make an SP. Oh, and there's the talents as well.
Wow, Isaac
Draws
is
not stop coming.
All in with this the side deck cards, or the defensive cards at least, like putting in so much work here. Just an absolute blowout, and what a crazy display of the power of this Retaliating Sea.
Because Runick is a deck where, like, if you kind of stop them from getting that first fountain draw, you kind of feel okay. But once they get that first fountain draw, your heart sinks because you know it's just going to keep steamrolling.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the Concerto Banish was really clutch as well. There's just so much going on Isaac's side here that I think might just be winning him this game.
Yeah, I mean, who needs a battle phase?
1?
No, you can run 2.
It's at 2, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
it is semi-limited.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was one of the very, very few cards. There's only like 2 or 3 cards that are semi-limited at the moment.
Yeah, used to be Malicious, but he came back recently. Nah, there's like a couple more these days, isn't there?
Yeah, it's not a lot though.
Okay.
Compared to the Forbidden list and the limited list, there's like 100 or so on each of those, right?
Here is draw 3 now. So we got red. Gonna link away here for... Do we play sprints?
It's just Donner number 2.
First Donner, Tribute, Revive. Yeah, it's funny. The Donner is actually quite like a cool generic card that you can play in like kind of any deck, but it's soul charge for 2. So in this one, not bad at all.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh, it's even crazier here when we use the Rafale to excavate, because we could see like 2 more cards, and maybe that might be some really strong non-engine.
Or just more Runicks at this point.
There's a Dark Ruler that we don't really need anymore. Yeah, Runick would have been ideal, I think. Just takes Rex for follow-up, it looks like.
We also can discard it with Rafale, right? To negate a monster effect, or is it any card?
I think it does need to discard a Fur Hire specifically.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is actually really relevant, so... All right. I suppose the only disadvantage per se is, you know, you don't get your battle phase.
Yeah. Who needs the battle phase?
Yeah, there's 22 minutes left on the clock. I think he's going to be fine time-wise.
Just deck your opponent out, do it the cool way.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're going to deck out first with the amount of cards you draw, but, you know.
Not really, right? Because Fountain recycles.
Yeah, that's true, but Folgo, and is this a Donner number 3?
It is indeed. Donner 3 to make a link to give you the level requirements for Gigantic, and again, this is why this deck is just really unique in some way. It just has all of these interconnecting pieces between different archetypes that just have such good synergy. Almost like plants in a way, I suppose, between all of those different archetypes. Different playstyle, but, you know, it is...
The first Donner actually got bounced, so that was where... So he only runs 2, but 1 got bounced. So this is the 3rd copy he summoned.
All right. Flashing Fire for a summon, I think.
He can't have that many more Runicks.
Oh, Munin.
Oh yeah, you can't do that. Yeah, good point. Just pointing to the Gigantic Spright once you've used that.
Yeah, level 3. So is he forced to use the Flashing Fire? Obviously,
I mean,
not,
you can't legally activate it at this point, because if your opponent doesn't have any monsters, probably would have been nice just to hold the Flashing Fire in your hand, and then you could destroy the Etoile in the end phase, because otherwise it's a little bit annoying. Maybe he just wanted to gain 1,000, but that doesn't seem super needed at the moment.
Yeah, life points is not going to be an issue so far. I don't know why he tried to summon the Munin. Interesting that we... So no Folgo established here, but it should be fine just with red, carrot, and Flashing Fire. Plus your draws as well. And Contacting Sea, by the way, as well, don't forget.
So it gets negated by red and then destroyed still by the Flashing Fire. And is that another Concerto banished as well?
Yeah, and then losing more resources off the top of the deck like this. I didn't realize you'd be playing 2 of that, but yeah, 2 of it now gone for the rest of the duel here. It's looking like way too much of an uphill battle for Thomas here.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, you normally run like 2 copies. Oh, you get the effect though when it's destroyed. Summon a backer from the extra deck, which is pretty nuts.
Okay.
Like just floating into an extra deck monster. Just trying the old-fashioned way, saying, my monsters cannot be destroyed or targeted anymore. Can you destroy them in any way? Can you out them? Because this used to be a thing. Like, I feel like when this card was first released, the Diva, people would just activate first movement solo and then just pass and see if their opponent could ever destroy it.
Make them indestructible, untargetable. I mean, it's like, it feels like somewhat... I mean, that card is very old when you think about it, right? So we didn't have as many easy-to-access ways of removal. You know, a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! Removal is just targeting and destruction up until maybe recently, right?
Yeah, I mean, nowadays, like, it's still a premium, I'd say, to destroy things without targeting them, or remove things without targeting them, but it definitely exists a lot more. Like, decks have their answers to it, I'd say. So, like, Isaac, for example, even if he can't destroy it, which I mean, I'm not thinking of any off the top of my head, but like obviously you're playing Runick, you can still just deck your opponent out. So like most decks have a way to win.
Yeah. The situation here, so could we not have dropped Contacting Sea at some point so far, or
maybe it got discarded for a Hugin? I wasn't sure.
Potentially, maybe we don't want to do it yet because we want to force them to lock themselves into Melodiouses with something like a first movement or the Link monster, then drop the Contacting Sea. Because, yeah, right now you do have the generic ability to just go into Little Knight, for example, here, which is actually going to be used to banish the Fountain.
Yeah, SP is getting work in. And an SP as well is like doubly annoying for a Runick player, because most I'd say the premium way to deal with SP is just to attack it. But you can't attack it when you're playing Runick if you don't have a battle phase. And I feel like Isaac is owing us like 20 battle phases because he played a lot of Runick cards. Can you imagine if that was how it actually works? You know, you just
for each one you're gonna
for
skip
each
that many
one
battle
you had to
phases.
skip the next battle phase.
Yeah, they'd still find a way to win in time.
Yeah.
Was that just like a hard drawn fountain? Did we search that? Is that a destruction?
That is a destruction, so it's probably going to summon a Munin now.
Yep, and then we can shuffle back what I assume is probably 3 there. SP Little Knight going to respond to this destruction to... Oh, okay, we're just going to chain the red, to negate and destroy the Little Knight. That was trying to run away by banishing itself and the Gigantic.
That's all... It can bounce any cards on the field. Wow, that's really powerful.
Ooh, okay. Returning the Munin and the field spell here, but still gas in the tank here as we special summon blue. Normal summon, I think that's a Recon or Dompa.
That's Dompa, yeah.
Dompa, bring out the Rex. And
Rex would be at a popper card, but it can't be targeted.
Honestly, it really is like... beautiful to watch this constant transitioning from archetype to archetype. Like, oh, okay, like the Runick cards have been dealt with now.
Has he not run out of Donnas yet? Like, this is just crazy.
Yeah, like the Runick cards run out. Let's transition to Spright. Spright then gets us back into the Fur Hire. The Fur Hire draws us, and then those draws are most likely going to go, you know, full circle back into the Runicks. As you see here, as Rafal picks up a Freezing Curses. I mean...
Maybe you want the Slumber? No? Okay, you want the Freezing Curses? So I feel like Slumber's nice because you can actually target your own cards if you want to. Whereas Freezing Curses, it's much harder to activate. But it is so much fun, this deck, isn't it? You just keep cycling resources, you draw cards, destroy your opponent's cards, you just kind of shuffle your cards around and you still end up with 5 and somehow your opponent ends up with none.
Yeah, I mean, it's Yu-Gi-Oh players, you know, serotonin to just draw multiple cards, and nothing feels better than doing 3 every turn minimum. There's a fall go being made here. Oh no, it's Underworld Goddess.
He's really teched out for the Melodious matchup, like, because the Underworld, like, yeah, I guess how else do you out the Aria? Is it called Aria? Am I just making that name up? The Melodious.
I think it's Aria,
yeah.
I think it makes sense, maybe, just because of how much this deck can like put up bodies. Underworld is just like really strong in that regards. The negate effect is also like kind of relevant as well into some matchups, so you've got that going for you. I think we're just gonna activate this as our first card here.
This feels like a repeat of last turn,
yeah,
right? We're doing the
exactly.
Flashing Fire, then we negate it with red, and then he's gonna get to summon a backup from his extra deck if he wants to. He's got, I mean, maybe Thomas is gonna run out of extra deck. I don't know who's gonna run out of cards first. Like Isaacs seems to just have an infinite supply of Donnas in his extra deck.
And more important than that is Isaac's ability to resolve this fountain here. Drawing 2 more cards off of the Flashing Fire synergy there.
Still hasn't been any life point changes, but I still think we've got 13 minutes, so...
Yeah, I think that's kind of like the Runick sort of drawback, maybe. It's not very good at dealing a lot of damage, or rather consistent damage. It kind of, you know, fully controls the field. You have to constantly skip this battle phase. Once you've established that whole control, then you can you know, hold on to a Runick ideally and then proceed to attack on the following turn after. So this is... Oh, Freezing Curses. Okay. This Contacting Sea must have been discarded, I guess, at some point, because this didn't really feel like any other reason to use it here. But yeah, Freezing Curses negating, banishing off the top, and we've already drawn this turn, so we won't get the benefit of the fountain now.